I think we can breeze through the supporting actor and actor races unless anyone wants to discuss Kieran and Zoe. Can we just all smile and nod and say Kieran?
Kieran's happening. I'm going to put out there I think my no guts, no glory is going to be, I think we're going to see an upset in supporting actress. I think Isabella Rossellini might pull it off.
No. Everybody says the same thing, Clayton. She doesn't have enough time. She doesn't have enough dialogue.
It's a supporting role. That's what happens.
Well, they all say the same thing.
Glory, are you picking it or not?
Are you picking it? Are you putting it in stone?
Well, I have to file my thing today. I'm really leaning towards listen, my findings, she's getting a lot of votes. A lot of older people are voting for her.
Why not?
They like the movie, especially in the order in which it comes. I find her present on ballots that have a lot of Honora and Brutalists on it, which are part of the top three. And I think
I'm warning you, ignore those ballots.
I mean, listen.
I just want to say about the ballots, as somebody who was an early purveyor of these, like they're interesting for anecdotal reasons, but unless any of us, which we are not, are talking to 500 people about their ballots, there's no scientific value in any of these. Like it's purely about, certain things that you're hearing multiple times or whatever, but I would not change a prediction based on however many voters we're talking to.
Listen, we get a shock every now and then. Listen, like sometimes Lauren Bacall sweeps a season and loses to Juliette Binoche in the end, right? Sometimes Eddie Murphy sweeps a season.
I don't think you can outweigh all the awards that Zoe has won versus a couple of anonymous ballots.
That's what I'm saying. Isabella hasn't won anything.
Right.
I don't think you
may be
Send
right.
us a screenshot when you write it.
They all won.
But Clayton may be right, but it's not because of the anonymous ballot. Like these guys are. It may happen. It's a coat. If Conclave wins, maybe it carries Rafe. Maybe it carries Isabella. Like things happen, but I don't think we're in any of us are in a position to make that call because of the ballots.
I have to say, I had to labor over the editing of one of the ones I had to do. It was really fun to read in the end, but it was work to get.
I know.
And they're not as to make any sense.
To be clear, when I say anonymous ballots, I'm not talking about the collection of I'm not like, I love you all, but it's not about the reading of all of yours. But I go by what my discussion. And listen, it may be wrong, and that's fine. I can eat crow for that later. But you are able to siphon out some Anthony Hopkins might actually.
And that should be what it's about.
But did you pick Anthony Hopkins in the end?
No, but I got to warn the people on national TV about it.
I did, yes, and you can repeat that because I did pick Anthony Hopkins, and a lot of it was based on all these voters who secretly came up to me and say, "I have to tell you where you predicted that."
That's what I think.
They were afraid to say they didn't vote for,
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Moving on. So speaking of, so let's talk about Best Actor. Obviously, Adrian, Timmy Chalamet, Coleman Domingo, Ralph Fiennes, Sebastian Stan. Obviously, Timmy's win came after voting. Doesn't have an impact. His speech doesn't have an impact. Can he take this from Adrian?
As we said, SAG is a more mainstream group. It is not the same. There's so many examples of things that did not transfer over. And I'm going to say it's still Adrian Brody. And what I said before, he carries The Brutalist. It's an extraordinary dramatic performance. It's Holocaust survivor. There's so many reasons why it's the serious performance to beat. Does SAG suggest momentum in the voting groups for Chalamet? That is a question mark.
Right.
And a complete unknown would get one win, and people love a complete unknown. There are a lot of supporters of it, but I'm still going to say it's Adrian Brody.
Yep, they love it. I have to still go with Adrian because I think Ann said it or somebody said The Brutalist is more popular within the Academy than it might be within SAG or someplace like that, and so it just seems like it's going to be Adrian in this case. I don't know. They do like him, playing famous people. we've seen that over and over and over again with wins. So Timmy's like second here, and that movie is loved. I mean, you hear it. Oh, I loved it. It was my time. I grew up with this. I hear that all the time. So they're close to it more emotionally, that movie, than probably The Brutalist. So it's a bit, there's a race there. We'll see.
It's a definite race. Clayton?
Again, I'm about packaging. So if you're going with the Nora in Best Picture, I think you stick with Adrian. If you go with Conclave in Best Picture, you take Timmy. My findings have been, I didn't think Timmy was really. I always knew it was weird. I always knew that Timmy was going to win SAG, but it wouldn't matter. Like I thought, because it was after voting. And my conversations, I feel like Rafe is getting more votes than Timmy, so I feel like Rafe would be the upset there. However,
he didn't get BAFTA.
A buddy of mine recently had said, reminded me of something, that when SAG, which really heavily favors veterans a lot, when they're wrong, they're usually wrong about vets, but when they actively go for younger people, they're usually right. And I think Timmy winning has to signal that there is considerable strength, because I think Scott and I are probably most tracking that Complete Unknown was surging like right around PGA DGA time. So, and then voting started that Tuesday after. Now, Complete Unknown is not winning picture anymore. We're all pretty certain of that. But we got to imagine that it translates into 8 nominations is a lot of nominations to get to flex and then not win anything. So I safe bet, go with Adrian. That's probably what I'm going with right now.
Scott?
Yeah, I think, if SAG's the only indicator of the whole season that it's Timothy, it's certainly the safer bet to stick with Adrian. I do think that it seems to be spread very actually across all of the people in this category. I've got a lot of Coleman Domingo. Again, just anecdotal, but kind of interesting that it could really fracture, which is what happened, by the way, when Adrian Brody won 22 years ago, because everybody thought it was Daniel Day-Lewis or Jack Nicholson or Nicolas Cage, and then this young guy comes through and was part of a surge for The Pianist that almost went all the way for picture as well. I think that you got to play it safe as a predictor, or the safe play is Brody, but I would not be shocked if it was Chalamet, or, to be honest with you, Ray Fiennes, because there's obviously a lot of love for Conclave, and this is a guy who's been around and worked with everyone forever and is thought of very highly. And so I have never understood why he wasn't clicking as much as his movie, and maybe he is.
All right. Okay, let's talk about actress, because obviously there's a huge contest and a debate to go over there. We've got Cynthia Erivo, Carla Sofia Gascon, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, and Fernanda Torres.
Yeah, well, Carla's now coming to the Oscars, I just noticed.
That means she won.
But, she'll
be sitting in her seat.
Yeah, she'll be sitting in her seat. Based on my feeling here, as it was at SAG last night, Demi Moore is the one I hear. Look, she's been around. Mikey Madison is fantastic in Honora. If Honora sweeps, it can bring her in. She's young, and they often can say, we'll have other chances. Will Demi? I don't know. There's that thing going on. And then there is this wild card that hasn't been played here, which is Fernanda Torres. Not since the Golden Globes have she been in this contest. And her performance is beyond magnificent. It reminded me of Sophia Loren in Two Women. Yeah. It's got power. It's got all of that going for it. And she's great, too, by the way. She's been a great campaigner. She's lively. Yes. She's fun. I had a great time with her. And that's a wild card. I don't know how that's going to play into this.
And we have not seen them all go head to head in the same category. Yes,
Anne?
Anne?
It might hurt.
So sometimes the trick, like when Juliette Binoche wins, or and you're surprised, sometimes the trick is that the Oscars go classy.
Yeah.
They take the high road. So there is a real possibility for Fernanda Torres, but it comes down to the same thing I said before. How many of them saw the movie? Right. And the actors are the biggest branch in the Academy, and they love Demi Moore and her narrative. And in person, when she's out doing the stump, you saw the speech at SAG. It was another great speech.
She gives good speech.
She's like a wellness guru,
Yes.
advising everyone on how to live their lives. You should see them. They soak it up, man. They
She's
really
very compelling.
do.
Mhm.
So I just think that the Demi Moore narrative still is the most powerful one. But the one little niggling worry that I have is that she doesn't have the class thing going for her. The substance is not the classy pick. It's not.
Well, it's horror, and horror rarely wins.
Right. And
I
a lot
don't
of
think it's
people
ever
really are
won
grossed
in
out
lead
by it and
actor.
don't like it, and it's divisive,
And there have been endless examples throughout Oscars history of sex workers, people playing sex workers being rewarded for it. And I think that, the other thing which we talked about last time we were all together was that as the Academy has gotten larger in terms of its membership, there are more and younger, there are more people voting having seen fewer movies. And a movie that everyone will have seen was Anora. And I think that not everyone will have seen or stuck with the substance. It's very polarizing. I loved it, but I understand many people didn't. And I think I'm Still Here also is certainly very admired, but not as widely seen or admired, I think, as Anora. So I'm not necessarily, I'm still also buying, using my last few hours before I have to lock in my final picks to ponder all this. But I don't think that it's crazy to think that Mikey, even though she's only won the BAFTA, could still do this.
Yeah, I would point out women here. The women's vote is very important here. And Demi Moore, particularly with women in the industry, that performance, if you get through the horror of it all, is really talking about aging out of the business, something close to their
And that's
heart.
why I think she won SAG. She really talked to that audience. It's very
Talks
much a
to
SAG
that
performance.
audience.
There's a lot of overlap, but the acting branch is the biggest branch. I think the actors
Right.
are all for Demi. I do.
Yeah,
The only thing that stops me with
I would
Fernanda is
agree.
the international vote, because I just
That's
think
right.
that she, and that's what questions me. Clayton, what do you think?
It's a 3-horse race. I think we all, as a community, probably underestimated how much people hate horror movies, and I think that's why it's tighter than maybe it would be. But there's just so many people that say I hate that movie, but I'm still voting for Demi because they like the narrative so much. Fernanda is definitely in it. The thing with Mikey, and I knew it was gonna I feel like it played a trick on us. I'm thinking, and really, I think her BAFTA win happened too late. It happened with 2 days left in voting, and it's like the Lily Gladstone mistake we all made, or many of us made last year when she won. Yeah, I made that mistake too, and I knew it was Emma, and then she won SAG, and it tricked me to go back to Lily, and I was like, no, I should have just went with it, and we all said this, it's based on where it was at that time, and
Yeah, I stuck with Emma. Those guys in the Academy loved her.
I think Denise just squeaks it out. I think she might just squeak it out. But I mean, Fernandez never went against any of the other 4 nominees, so we don't know how she performed against them. And that movie, when people watch it, it does its thing. So the question is, do you think enough people watched it, and then that determines whether or not you're going to vote, whether you think Fernandez is going to do it or not. But
the other point we made earlier is Anora. If it sweeps, it takes Mikey with it. If it's strong enough, if it's big enough to carry coattails across all the categories,
exactly,
she wins.
Yeah.
So
I go back to the age factor, and I know they rewarded young hot girls before, right? That used to be kind of the Academy.
But they
trope.
haven't done that lately.
But they haven't done it lately, and even Jennifer Lawrence, which people always cite to me as an example. She had a prior nomination before that, and she had just had The Hunger Games, the biggest billion-dollar franchise movie at the time. That's why, Mikey, this is the start of Mikey Madison. We are in our Mikey Madison era, but that's why I think they may just wait a beat. And I think
what I think too. I think I know.
I would say everyone knows we're not going to get another shot at Demi probably ever again, and that's always the Michelle Yeoh, Kate Blanchett thing of we're never going to probably get a shot at this. Cate Blanchett will have 9 more shots at this. So that's my idea of it.
I agree with that. I just feel like the ingenue period isn't the way the voters have, it's happened in the last few years. We've sort of moved on for that, and it's sort of more of a career achievement, and that speaks to me, but it also speaks to Fernanda, and I'm sort of torn with what Fernanda can do. But again, it's a question of will people have seen it.